Welcome to Craft Beer Storm,
a podcast dedicated to educating the masses across the planet on what real beer is.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is Mike of the Craft Beer Storm, your host, also founder and brewer at Barra Brewing Company in glorious Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Today we got an interesting podcast for you. I found Heidi Geist, who is getting on a bus, and she's going to hit all the lower 48 states. One brewery in each state. She's collaborating with them and just celebrating the local beer and raising awareness. And I think it's a great thing. We had a great conversation with her. So let's get to it. Here you go. Okay, we're here with Heidi Geist of the 48 Beer Project. Hi, Heidi. How you doing?
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
Cool. So I heard about your efforts and your beer project, and I was very interested. And I contacted you. I said, "Hey, I got to get you on Craft Beer Storm because that's all we're about. We're about local craft beer, but also local products as well, using local products and supporting your local businesses. These guys work hard, and you should get out there and support them." So let's start with your story. Like, how did you get started? Where are you now? What are you trying to do with the project? Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So the project itself has kind of sprouted from a combination of things. I've been designing beer labels for a few years now for breweries all around the country, definitely quite a few here in Maine. It's a big supportive community. But yeah, and before that, I was working in a craft beer store. So really sort of diving into the culture of craft and getting to know people, both consumers and sales reps and brewers and everyone from all the different corners, and sort of, fuse the loves of, art and beer. And as you mentioned, actually just local in general, I've done a lot of work for restaurants and whatnot that are around here in Portland.
You're based out of Portland, Maine, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we did just get voted the best food city in the country.
Is that right? Who voted you that? Where did you get that vote from?
Was it oh my God, one of the big food magazines.
Oh, really?
I'll have to go back and look it up.
Cool.
So anyway, this project kind of really, like, the idea lit up when I was, at the tail end of a fast, kind of coming to a crossroads with having to move out of an apartment and art studio at the same time, and just deciding I could be mobile because I can design beer labels from anywhere. And it's just kind of evolved into this whole what it is now, which is, I've now built myself a home to live in, but I'll travel across country, and it's an art studio, so totally self-sustaining.
So tell me about the bus. What's happening with the bus? How'd you get that going? And you're living in the bus now, or how does that work?
I am. I'm sitting in here right now down at the ocean. It's great. So in February, I started looking for vans, buses. It was such a young idea. And I came across, there's a woman that lived pretty local that had a short school bus for sale, and it was super cheap. And I went up to look at it, and I bought it right there. Tiny, I think maybe sat 14 people. And then it was a process from there. Like, it took months to actually get it, and there were a few repairs that needed to be done. But basically, over the course of the last 2 months, up until about 4 days ago, I've just been working my ass off. I hope I can say that.
Yeah, why not? It's a podcast. I don't think it's FCC.
There's no kids listening.
I dropped the F-bombs a couple of times.
Yeah,
but
okay,
it's not
good.
Yeah.
You never know with these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been in a hot garage without any air movement, just going at it, all day, every day. It's a passion project, and it's not completely done yet, but it's livable, and I've been able to do some work in it already, art-wise. So
it's like an RV or something, or can you connect to stuff, or do you go?
I would call it more of a tiny home than an RV. So I'm getting ready to I've built there's a bed, there's shelving, it's all built in. There's, a refrigerator. I'm running off of solar, and I've got an incredible system for that. I built myself an 8-foot art desk. And with all the storage, I've got a bathroom. I'm going to have a self-composting toilet in here, putting a sink in on Friday or Saturday. And yeah, I mean, it's home away from home. I got rid of all my belongings that I couldn't fit in the bus, and this is it.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So are you going to, like, when are you going to go out? When are you going to start going out?
Yep. So September 6th, September 5th, we're actually doing a launch party with Liquid Riot here in town.
Okay.
And then September 6th, I'm hitting the road. So it's coming up really fast.
It is.
Not sure if I'm ready.
It's a couple of
I'm
weeks.
excited,
Yeah.
but I'm a little nervous.
You don't know if the bus is operational. You can drive it around, right?
Oh yeah, the bus is. I mean, it's mostly detail work at this point that I need to just finish up a few things. But yeah, I've driven it a little bit since I've built it, and it's great. So
what's the first state you're going to hit outside of Maine?
Yep, so Vermont. Actually, I'm skipping over New Hampshire. I've actually done the main collaboration was Allagash, and my original date for them was June 23rd, which was the Allagash Street Fair. So we've actually already done that. Beer is coming out in the next couple months, so everyone can see the label. But yeah, straight over to Foam in Burlington, September 6th.
Yeah, it's a great area.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Have you been to Foam?
No, I heard about it. I got to go up there again. I went to Burlington like a couple of years ago, but I really need to go up there again because it's a really excellent beer. I don't know what the Vermont beer is just excellent. They say it's like this big aqueduct or something, or water supply, but the people know what they're doing, and they really, from what I hear, it's like if you're making bad beer up there, they'll find you, like the Brewers Association, and they'll come to you and say, "Dude, you're making bad beer. You just got to stop."
Make our state look bad.
Yeah, you got to stop, and this is how you do it. And then,
I mean,
but
how
that's
can
great.
you make bad beer in Vermont? It's such a beautiful state. It's so clean and pristine and beautiful.
I've heard it happen though, but people correct it, and everything. Every time I try beer in Vermont, it's delicious. They really got it down, and it's awesome.
Well, you should go.
I must go. I must.
You must. Foam is right on Lake Champlain. So, oh my God.
Is it?
Sitting out on the patio and watching, the sun over the water. And it's just like the best location ever. So
that's a beautiful place. If anybody hasn't been to Vermont or Burlington, you got to go make a trip, go for a couple of days. Oh, yeah. It's really beautiful. Even the town and the way it slopes down into the Lake Champlain. It's a beautiful area. Yeah. I got to go up there again.
It's super walkable. Yeah.
Excellent. So, all right. And then you'll be, is it listed anywhere? Like your states you're going to hit and the dates and all that?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, they've already kind of been pushed out a little bit through social media, but the basic plan is, I mean, all of that's going to be released officially pretty soon with, the official listings up to the breweries. And I'm trying to get an interactive map up on my website so that people can follow along. It'll show where I am. I mean, not where I'm necessarily going to be sleeping at night, but the general idea of where I am. So, there's a lot of interest and a lot of hype around this, and people really want to be involved, and as I want them to. So, if someone's in the area and they can come out and, be part of the good times, that'd be awesome.
Well, that's great. You're getting you're going out to each state, you're picking a brewery, and you're just celebrating craft beer. And I think that's fantastic. And it's like it's an RV trip, but it's a bus around the country. And that's I would love to do that. That's awesome. That's a great idea. Maybe one day I will do that.
I was gonna say maybe you can borrow the bus from me after, and you can do your own.
I could do my own thing in the spring.
You could be the 49, not 47.
But I'll go to Alaska. I'll drive to Alaska. That's my destination. Or maybe I could do like Canada, go across the provinces of Canada and stuff.
Yeah.
That's an idea. All right. We'll talk after you get back.
Okay.
But, so you focused in on, I mean, you're an artist, I guess, right? And this, you work on labels for individuals. I should talk to you about that as well. That'd be pretty cool. But
yeah, definitely.
So I guess, have you done labels for a lot of different breweries around the country, or is it local? Or
started local, and then I quickly started picking up a lot of collaborations with other breweries around the country. So, I've done work with Horace and El Segundo, did a collaboration out in California, field work out in California, Jay Wakefield down in Florida. there was a collaboration between KCBC out of Brooklyn
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
Tice
Mhm.
Morona, which is actually Costa Rica. So list goes on. I've worked with some Massachusetts breweries. But yeah, a lot here in Maine. I mean, Maine is like a big family. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Mainers love their beer.
Yes, they do
But
love
it is
their
very
beer
good
too.
beer. They make very good beer, and New Hampshire has good beer too. Yeah,
Yes.
we're in New Hampshire.
It doesn't have a ton of beer yet, but it does have some good breweries for sure.
We have which is the brewery in New Hampshire that you're stopping at?
So actually, it's not a thing yet. It's Northwoods in Northwoods. It's
Oh, it's a
friend
new one.
is yeah.
That's where
So
Outhouse is. Outhouse Ales. Giving a
yeah,
shout
so
out.
I'm not ultra familiar with that area in term. I mean, definitely Portsmouth where you are. I love Deciduous. Not yet found anything I'm in love with in Manchester. And
Well, you got to come by Barra. Did you come by Barra yet? Or no?
I know I need to. So when
You
I'm in New
must.
Hampshire, I'll come visit.
You must let me know. We have
Oh, I will.
Barra Brewing Company. I keep saying it in every podcast, but I'm the founder and brewer there, and we're getting our beer out there, and we just love to help people, and we collaborate with some breweries. I collaborated actually with a brew pub in Ireland once.
Awesome.
We made a beer called Survivor, which is interesting, and we're just looking to connect with a lot of other people, and a lot of other breweries. But
Well, there's another reason for us to talk because there'll be plenty of opportunity for me to help you out there on this trip.
that's awesome. Where are you going in California? I'm just curious.
Yep, Costa Agria. So they're in oh my God, to remember 48 different places. Oxnard. I don't know if that's how you say it, but
Okay.
they're on the coast.
Wow.
They're incredible. I've really tried. You seem to have a lot of what's the word, emphasis on quality, and you were talking about supporting local, and just it's a principle thing. It's a passion thing. It's not just going out and making beer. There's way more to it than that. So for me, I tried to find breweries who I felt followed along those lines, as much as possible.
Yeah, I think
And
you got to be passionate to brew, especially a smaller brewery. It's a tough thing. It's a tough. Making beer is not adding powder to water and all of a sudden you have beer. It's a process, and it kicks your butt. If you have a manual system, but you know
oh
what,
yeah,
the end product is excellent. And if people say, wow, this is awesome, you make great beer. I mean, that means the world, and that keeps you going. It's like your fuel.
yeah. Well, Sean Hill would totally disagree with this, but I think it's absolutely an art form, and maybe not in the way that you stand over it with some magic powder and you put a pinch of this in, but it's for a lot of people it is coming from such a place of passion, and even if you're just brewing like hundreds of years old recipes that people have been doing all this time, if you really care about it and it means a lot to the whole process, being a part of the entire process and nurturing it. That's an art. And,
Yeah,
maybe that's my
absolutely.
draw to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you'll be stopping in all these states. I guess you'll have an event in each state at the brewery, or how's that going to work out?
Yeah, a lot of them we will. I don't know that every brewery I'm going to stop at will do an event. We're definitely going to have events outside of the breweries too, but definitely a lot of them we've talked, I've hopped on the phone with so many, and they're all excited, and there's a lot of them that want to, have some sort of mini festival or, and have the bus be part of that, have music, have food. So yeah, I mean, I have people that are planning to come out, like a couple of my sponsors, they're both brewers and they want to line it up so that they can collaborate with one of the breweries I'm working with, for instance, and which
Mhm.
actually you might consider.
Yeah.
So, and like ultimately the point of the project isn't necessarily for me to go and do a bunch of beer labels and have 48 new labels on my portfolio or whatever. It's all about collaboration. It's all about working together, supporting each other, and exploring the industry, exploring what, each individual person in the industry and what motivates them as a human, because all of that has a lot to do with the end result. And but it's the creative people all around. It's the people
Yeah.
in the food trucks that are pulling up outside the breweries and making this incredible, dish to go along with your beer as they're sweating away. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
the big
mean,
thing.
you get 48 different perspectives on beer, and
Oh yeah,
also the local element. We love the local element. We try to influence or try to tell people to buy local. Support your local brewery
absolutely,
who uses local products. And
absolutely.
there's local food which pairs with the beer, and if it's a restaurant, farm to table. It's a great local community thing, and people get together, and everybody's like on their phones, staring at their phone. I'm
Yeah,
guilty of it
man.
too. It's like everybody's just staring at their phone and they're not talking to each other.
But I think beer is changing that. I think that's why maybe, we all in the industry go back and forth. It's a love-hate relationship, really. It's like there are some things that your perspective, like you feel really take away from all of it. Sometimes it feels overrated just as a whole, and sometimes it feels like the most what's the word, like what you're closest to, where your best friends exist. And I think that the one thing that craft beer has done positively, not the one thing, but one of the many things craft beer has done positively in the last few years is create community between people who never normally would communicate with each other. You know, you can have 100 people in the same room who would never be in that room, if it
Yeah,
weren't for this place serving this product, and those people interact. I mean, phones, whatever, I don't know. Like there are some, but this is a situation where people are social. They're talking.
well, beer,
There's a
yeah,
lot of picture taking, and there's a lot of like ways to see it really negatively, and selfies with beer. And it's like some people may be only just going there to do the selfie and get their Instagram likes, but overall, I think they wouldn't be going to all that effort if they weren't enjoying that whole scene. You know, and I feel like sometimes people get really jaded, and it's nice to kind of refresh everyone and just draw their attention to all the positive parts like that.
yeah. And just to get out, we're always enclosed in a cube or a car, or it's great to
Oh
just go
yeah,
into a nice open space and have some really good locally crafted, beer or food, and
yeah,
just talk, and talk to people, be human, and then maybe there's a
exactly.
band in the corner and playing some music, and you open the garage door or whatever, and you let all this air in, and maybe
Yes,
if you're on the water, it's just fantastic. Um,
yeah,
it's a great thing. It's a great thing. But yeah, I mean, we use local ingredients in beer, and it's great to promote that as well. Not just beer but food. And what do you think about craft beer environment today? Like some of the challenges for craft brewers. Like do you have any ideas on that?
yeah, definitely. I think one of the big obvious ones is that there's so many new breweries coming on the scene, which is excellent, I think. But I think there's so much right now. It's creating a situation which these young breweries feel like they have to. I feel like they always put the cart before the horse. A lot of them jump the gun on a lot of things, and they feel like they have to, like have the line out the door right away on opening day. And they feel like that, out of the gate, they have to have a whole series of cans or, whatever ready to sell. And they have to, and they're always trying to, like there's the whole side of things where people are all the experimentation, which I don't think is a negative thing, but I think it can be. I think that a lot of people are losing sight of just good quality beer, and they're trying so hard to create their own identity that they're not really focusing on creating a solid foundation as a brewery, which is long lasting,
You know
which
what?
is
Yeah, and this is I listen to a lot of different podcasts, and building a business. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't
no.
open a business and all of a sudden a month later you got lines out the door. It's a long slog. So for all you guys out there that want to open a brewery and kill it, uh, it's not that way. You open and there's just a lot of competition, and every day more and more breweries are coming online. Like New Hampshire, when I started, it was like 20 breweries. We were in like 2014, and we were all sitting around a table, And now there's 80 plus breweries. So in 4 years, it's kind of, quadrupled. So,
Yeah.
it's just there's a lot of breweries out there. So, and you can't just go in and be like, yeah, let's do like high five brewing. Let's make a crazy IPA and just dump like 10 pounds of hops per gallon. Yeah.
Oh,
It's not going to work. It's just, you have to have a passion for it and patience. And really, if you're not into it, don't do it for the money, because it's just, forget it, forget about the money. I mean, maybe eventually, if you can get a following going and sell a lot of beer in a tap room, but you have to do it because you're passionate about it and you want to help the local community and try to do something good.
100%. And I feel like really it would be really exhausting if all you're doing is chasing trends, and you're just like trying to like stay up on the craziest new thing. You're just going to spend all your time trying to top the next thing, and you're never just going to be able to sit back and see, reap the rewards, which are like genuine, people like genuinely understanding and caring about your beer and creating a long lasting impression on people, not just like, who are your customers? Like, what's your demographic? Are you just trying to hit one, type of person, or do you want it to be welcoming to everyone? And then, the local thing here in Maine, I'm sure you've been before. I'm not sure, but you are in Portsmouth. So
yeah, no, I've been up. I get we age our beer in the barrels from Allagash. They make the Curio.
Nice.
So they get them from Jim Beam, and then we buy them. And now we're gonna launch. We have a strong ale that's been sitting in the Jim Beam barrel for about 4 months.
Nice.
It's going to be delicious. Whatever we put in those barrels just turns out. So whenever I go up there, I stop at the breweries like across the street. From Allagash. They have Foundation is still there, or Bissell Brothers moved out, or
Bissell Brothers moved out, but all the other foundations there. Now you've got Definitive, Battery Steel, Austin Street. Who knows what's next? Really
good beer, and it's just one area. And Allagash has excellent beer, and we like Allagash, and just go across the street and you have a bunch of other beers. But yeah, it's a great beer scene. Yep.
But even, but you were, talking about supporting local and like, locally, like buying your malts and buying your grains and buying, supporting as much as it is possible your local hops growers. And, it's, it's like there are bakeries around here that use spent grain. Like, it's just a circle of people both helping each other, but, kind of keeping something alive in a way too. And
yeah,
I don't know. I see that as super positive.
Spent grain. We used to have a farmer come and just take it away. The dairy cows love it, and pigs, because it's like sugary. There's still sugar in it, and they love it. And the farmer's like, yeah, the cows really like it. I'm like, how can you tell? It's like, I don't know. They smile. I don't know. Yeah, apparently they know. They know. So I'm like, okay. But they do eat it. I mean, they love it too, because it's free food. They don't have to pay for it, and they just take it away. But it helps a local farmer too. You're helping someone out. And I think that's the key to anything, any community or life. Just be giving. And what you can help people with is great.
Yeah, I think it creates a stronger community. I think it creates more interconnected. People are a little bit more. The machine runs more efficiently, I think, that way.
Yeah.
That sounds like cold, but like.
No, yeah, I mean, I agree. And your view of big beer and how craft beer compares to that. I mean, we talk a lot on the podcast, for people to give craft beer. I mean, I always go into these supermarkets, and I see, 90% of the aisle is still this big beer, and buy a suitcase for $10 and get 24 cans of beer, and I'm like, it's better to buy like a case of water or something. It's better for you, and it's cheaper. But I mean, what do you think about it in terms of? I think big beer has its place in society, but we want to make sure that people understand that there is an alternative, and that's local beer. So what do you think about all that?
I think a lot about it. Having worked in the retail side, I think that I'm happy to not see craft beer in big box stores and supermarkets. I don't want to see it there. It feels takes away from something. I also don't usually go to retail shops to buy beer. There's something about going directly to the source, you know, seeing the people, that whole sense of being connected and, keeping everything, also not wanting to give the money to this giant corporation or whatever. There's a lot to be said for all that, obviously, which is why a lot of people, are opposed to big beer in general. I do agree that there is a place for a lot of it. I mean, I definitely have had some Miller High Life in the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's something about going into a dive bar and doing that. I'm not like 100% principle based where I just would never,
No, if you're at a ball game or something like that, or if you just want a lighter beer, like, all right, yeah, because I've had Miller High Life before. It's pretty good, I mean, in certain situations, it's pretty good. But if that's what people are just drinking Miller High Life, I mean, there's a lot of other beer out there.
Well, the argument that I hear from people that, are down on, they're like, $16, which these days is actually pretty good for a 4-pack of blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, yeah, that's because you're not going to sit down with a 4-pack of 8%, IPA and chug it in front of a game. That beer is not made for that. Craft beer is meant to be paid attention to. It's meant to, you're meant to like sit and enjoy it and taste it and talk about it and have a whole experience around it. Not that it always has to be that way. Not all craft beer is meant for that, but there's one big difference between Keystone Ice, and whatever, Allagash, it's, if all you want to do is just chug a bunch of beer all night long, then fine, go get a suitcase of something crappy. I mean, that's where I think people get a little bit lost on it. People that aren't really familiar.
They have a problem. I don't know. I mean, that's a problem. They really should drink water instead. I don't know. I'm preaching.
Oh, I agree. I think it's the difference between, it's the same thing as fast food versus real food, which here in Portland, it's easy to see the difference because we have nothing but great food available to us and great beer. And, it's like, why would you ever? And usually people's argument is money. And it's like, well, yeah, but you're not even getting anything, Obviously, you're not drinking beer for nutritional content, but even then, it's like you're not getting anything. You're wasting your tiny bit of money. But yeah, I think that craft beer has just created a situation where it's an event. Even if you're sitting home alone, slowly drinking a bottle of something from Hill Farmstead, and you're watching a Netflix movie, it's still an event of some, it's like, it's just different. It's just more enjoyable and more meaningful.
It's kind of, you can associate it with wine or like a nice bottle of fine wine.
100%.
You savor it and you're like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can introduce it with food, pair it with food, and you have an experience, like you said.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah. So, and I don't know what else we can talk about with your project. I mean, how did it come about? Like your 48 beer project is just an idea. It's like, I'm going to do this, or.
Oh man, it's been a road. I mean, like I said, I was sort of, in an in-between where my lease was coming up on my art studio and my living situation had changed, and I was kind of having to contemplate alternative ideas. And I was actually, a child of travel. Like, we had a Volkswagen bus growing up. We went on long road trips. We went backpacking. I grew up out west. So
cool.
There was a lot of exploration. And so it's sort of in my blood. And for me, this is a way to sort of bring that back, be able to make a living as an adult, but also do something I enjoy and share it with the world. So
that's great. Where did you grow up out west?
Idaho, Arizona, mostly.
Oh, wow.
Kind of bounced around a little bit, but yeah, it's beautiful.
Are you stopping in? I have to go out to North Dakota next week for some work.
I won't be there then. You're
not going to be there next week?
No.
I'm trying to figure out what to do. Not that North Dakota is not, I mean, I'm sure there's stuff to do out there, but,
I think go check. We're in North Dakota.
Oh, I don't know if I want to start naming towns, and it's up in the northwest corner. There's a town up there. Yeah. So I
definitely
don't know.
not.
What do you know? What do you know to do in North Dakota? Maybe we'll talk afterwards.
I don't know a lot,
No,
but
I'm
if you're
sure
in
it's a great
Fargo, I
state.
can look
I'm
you
sure
up.
the people are awesome. It's just I've never been there, and I just found out about this like a week ago, and I'm like, okay,
Maybe you should do nothing. Maybe you should just enjoy being there.
just walk around and enjoy stuff. That's an
Yeah,
idea. Just
right?
unplug.
Exactly.
But yeah. So I appreciate you coming on and talking about your 48 beer project. So if people wanted to find out more about you and what you're doing, how can they find more information on?
Yeah, definitely. So probably the number one source at the moment would be Instagram, and that's just 48 Beer Project. Also, the Geist Art, which is my art handle. But I have a website, which is diegeistart.com. So degeistart.com, which will be, there's some stuff on the project now. I'm working, like I said, to update it. So it'll be more interactive and people can sort of keep up and follow the story. And there'll be a lot of interviewing and photographing and video taping along the way.
That's
Videotaping, I think
cool.
so. I don't know.
And now do you have this thing mapped out yet, or you're just
Oh,
kind of going,
100%.
or
Yep, I
you
have it
do?
completely mapped out. All the dates are set where
Is it
I
on your
have an
website?
actual
Because I
map.
can't see it here.
Yep, give me a day.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
Okay. Okay.
that'll all be up there. I'm kind of waiting to put out an official sort of what's the word? Well, anyway, press release, I guess, of sorts with all the details. So
Cool.
yeah, if anybody's in the local area and they want to join the party on the 5th of September at Liquid Riot right here in Portland, it'll be pretty fun. They're also a brewery and distillery, and they are a restaurant, so sort of an all-in-one place to party. But
That's great. All right.
yeah,
Yeah, and I'm considering it. I mean, yeah, when you're
oh
not,
man, you're so close. It would be great.
you're the bus is well, no, I mean the bus. Like when
Oh,
you're done,
okay. I'll
I
get
can
let you
go
know.
across Canada. So I'll be
Yeah,
the north. We'll do 48
right.
beer project north or something.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I think that'd be awesome. We'll hit 48 cities across Canada
Yeah.
and Alaska. All right. I
Hey,
gotta,
thank you so much.
but I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate what you're doing. I wish you the best of luck. Please keep us posted on what's going on. I'll probably run into you at some point. Whenever you want to come into the brewery, let me know. And
Definitely.
we will stay connected. Okay, Heidi.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much.
All right. Hey, thanks very much. Okay.
Yep. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes, that was Heidi Geist doing the 48 beer project. I think that's awesome. Awesome endeavor. She's hitting 48 states, and I want to borrow the bus after her and go north into Canada. We'll see if that happens. Maybe hit 48 cities. I don't know. Let me know. Shoot me an email if you think I should do this. Yeah, we're at Craft Beer Storm. If you like what you heard, please share it with somebody. Go on iTunes, subscribe to our podcast. That would be great for us. Give us a rating, a review. That just helps us get higher on the list and get more people involved and expose more people to craft beer. We need more help with getting the knowledge of craft beer out there and letting people know that there is an alternative to mass-produced, watered-down beer. So that's where we are right now. I appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next week. Take care.